So let's talk about Jayson Tatum, right? Because he is, to me, the ultimate wild card, the ultimate sort of what's he going to do in the series. And Kyrie Irving probably goes in that same regard. We mostly know what we're getting from Jaylen Brown. Kind of what we saw last night, right? Really good defense, some athletic plays. He dunked on the whole Mavericks team in the first half of that game. Again, acted defensively, 22. He scored 22 last night, but 22 to 28-ish points. That's about where we're going to get from Jaylen Brown. It's Tatum and Luka, we know we're getting. Luka's going to be awesome because he's an awesome player. It's Tatum who we're like, okay, as I've talked about and defended Tatum ad nauseum. Tatum has some excellent playoff numbers in general. In elimination games, he's great. In game 7s, he's great. The numbers bear it out. Did a segment on it yesterday on the show. But it's in the finals where he struggled. First finals appearance against Golden State. Struggled with the turnovers. Was good at knocking down threes, but did not have an efficient series. Shot under 40% from the field. And again, Andrew Wiggins kind of held him in check in that series as Steph led my Warriors to that title. So it's like, okay, what's he going to do in his second go-around? And you saw, obviously, the first quarter, he has 3 turnovers. He had 3 points, 3 turnovers, and again, just seemed to be a little out of sorts. And Tatum even went on to admit after the game, we don't have the soundbite, but Tatum went on to admit after the game, he was a little nervous. The nerves were kind of getting to him. The thing that I will say about Tatum, and EJ, you sort of alluded to in the comments, is the fact that the turnovers were cut down. Tatum, again, had 3 turnovers in the first quarter. Ended up finishing, how many turnovers Jayson Tatum have? He ended up having 6, but 4 over the last 3 quarters, 3 in the first quarter alone. So from a ratio standpoint to a certain degree, right, that it went down. But Tatum realized, hey, big fella, Porzingis, he's got it going. Hey, Jaylen Brown's got the momentum, right? He ends up leading the team in scoring. Let's let those guys cook. Tatum did a really good job of driving into the paint. Again, Dallas, and I was curious what Dallas was going to do. We'll see if they adjust it, where, again, Gafford, Lively, they leave Horford alone in the corner so that they still have value on the floor shot blockers because they have no value as perimeter defenders against those stretch 5s for Boston. But you keep Gafford in, you keep Lively in for shot blocking. Tatum sees that. Okay, I'm going to kick to Al Horford. Okay, I'm going to kick to Derek White, to some of my shooters out here and knock down 3-point shots. So Tatum has always been really good at that. His assist numbers have been pretty solid in the playoffs, given that he's not, a guard. But I think that's something that was impressive to see. Moving forward in the series, because not every game's going to look like this. Boston's not just going to blow the doors off of Dallas the whole series. Tatum's going to have to be asked to hit big shots. Again, if you remember game 1 against my Warriors 2 years ago, it was Jaylen Brown. It was Derek White. It was Al Horford, who kind of, even to a degree, Marcus Smart, when he was with the Celtics, who kind of led the charge for that big game 1 comeback against Golden State, while Tatum was more of just a distributor and a rebounder. Well, that's kind of what we saw last night, because Tatum, to his credit, it's funny, Tatum looks up to Kobe Bryant. They were close. There's even some aspects of Jason's game, just from a footwork standpoint, from just his overall game, that's like, okay, that looks a little bit like Kobe. So you can see it a little bit. But in terms of how they approach the game in certain situations, it's demonstrably different. Kobe Bryant is going to go at you all game long. Sure, Sure, he's going to dish to teammates. Most famous pass of Kobe's career was Game 7, 2010 Finals against Boston. Ron Artest hit the dagger shot to get the Lakers their 16th championship. But by and large, a game like that, like what we saw last night, Boston's up by 17. Kobe's like, hey, screw everybody. Let's win by 35. Let's double this thing up. Nothing wrong with that, because Kobe is good enough to do it on most nights. Now, it wasn't working. Maybe the other team could get back in the game. Tatum's like, hey, Luka's got it going, and nobody else does. Let's play smart. We're at home. The home crowd's into the game. We're making shots. Jalen's dunking on people. Let's play. Again, it's a little bit, to use a football comparison, it's a little bit like a game manager to a certain degree. Where Tatum's, I know I can do more. The other guys got it going. Let's defer to them. Let's defer to them if they got it going. Because we're good enough, we're deep enough to be able to rely on some of these guys. Porzingis averaged 20 in the regular season. Derek White's a good 3-point shooter. Again, Jaylen Brown. If they have it going, let them have it going. Now in game 2, which I believe is going to be closer, I'll predict the game at the end of the show. I think is going to be a closer game. You're going to need that 25-30, I think, from Tatum in order to win. And I think, again, Dallas has I actually threw out the stat prior to the finals. It's part of the reason I picked the Mavs to win the series, is that when both teams had their best starting fives on the floor, Dallas is the better team defensively when you look at defensive rating. So, again, could PJ Washington, could Derrick Jones Jr., could they give Tatum problems? Sure, they could give Tatum problems. But I think it's, to me, Tatum's approach, and I've been on this since prior to the series. Jason Kidd, I'm curious what he does in game 2. Does he leave Gafford and Lively in the post? To essentially say, hey, Porzingis, Horford, you guys beat us from 3. And that, again, does that slow Tatum down? Does it basically say, hey, if Horford beats us, but Tatum becomes a distributor, that's our best avenue to win the series? Maybe. Because Dallas is going to come out with a better game plan. Dallas is going to hit their 3-point shots in game 2 the way they didn't in game 1, I believe. So I think that's going to be a fascinating story to watch. But again, it was kind of if I had to give Tatum a grade, I would say C+, because he wasn't terribly efficient. We'll show, Tatum's numbers, obviously 6 for 16 from the field, 3 for 7 from 3, but he had 11 rebounds and he had 5 assists. And, even some of the shots Boston missed, he delivered some great passes. Some of those shots just weren't able to, obviously to go in the bucket. So I think for Tatum, better efficiency. I'm big on that. So that's why I love Steph Curry. It's why Kevin Durant's one of the greatest scorers ever. LeBron was the king of efficiency this year and most years. So that's going to be something to keep your eye on, is if the Dallas defensive game plan is similar and the other guys for Boston may not hit their shots, then what does Tatum do? Does he say, okay, everybody get out the way, I'm going to go to work, because he's good enough to do it? I don't know. That's going to be a fascinating story to watch in this finals, is how Tatum responds to what seems to be inevitable adjustments from Boston. Because again, from Dallas, because Dallas always loses game 1. Always. It's what they do. Thanks so much for watching the show on YouTube, and be sure to go click that big red subscribe button and check out the other clips and full shows from Carving It Up Live, as well as our other incredible content creators here on the Grid Network.